Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Impressive channel. We have a return guest on today. We got Lauren Morley coming back to us, and welcome, Lauren. How you doing, sweetheart?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, sweetie. Thank you.
Good,
It's so nice to
good.
have you on, and Happy New Year. I suppose we can still say.
Yeah, yeah, just about.
I know, it feels a bit weird. So Lauren has come on the show today. The show? Did I just say the show? Has come on today to basically just break down about simplifying nutrition and for your well-being. And we're going to do it more from a parent's perspective and just kind of running through your day to day and how you can implement some nice healthy habits and just switches of your nutrition that's going to not only benefit yourself, it's going to benefit your kids and everyone around you. So before we go into it, if anyone that's not listened to a previous episode, Lauren, do you want to tell everyone what it is that you currently do?
Yeah, exactly. So was a personal trainer many moons ago, like yourself, and yeah, kind of studied sport and exercise nutrition. And yeah, so I've set up this company called Food and Mood Education, and I currently work with young people in a college and have kind of noticed over my years of working in education just the impacts that food is having on our mental health and our physical health, and especially to our young people who are just kind of seeming to drink and eat all these kind of really ultra processed foods. And then we're wondering why our kind of teenagers' mental health is in, an absolute state. So I just, yeah, founded Food and Mood because I wanted to bring education basically about nutritious food and how we can help people to kind of cut out all the rubbish that we hear and just concentrate on feeding ourselves and loving ourselves properly.
Amen, sister. Yes, that's what we like. And this is the thing. It's like I remember was you did another post recently and just talking about that you see so many teens like drinking things like energy drinks first thing in the morning and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I always, yeah. So I work as a safeguarding officer and I have done for many years. And I always get teenagers that are coming in and they're kind of having, panic attacks. And when we discuss what they've, had to eat or drink, it's just that they've had two cans of Monster and a pack of chocolate buttons. And then they kind of are wondering why
My
they're
God.
having these anxiety attacks, and I think there's just no conscious eating really going on, especially in our young people. They're just kind of, grabbing whatever's on offer and not really thinking about the impact. And I think, marketing's got a massive place in that,
Mm.
because we just market. It's like with them, like obviously we're going to talk about our daily routine. And I just did a video about kind of cereals and how we really shouldn't be feeding those to our children as a breakfast. Because even though they're highly marketed towards children, you would think that that is exactly what we should feed our children.
Mm.
But actually, all we're doing is starting the day off on this massive glucose spike. And, children find it so difficult to regulate their emotions and hormones anyway, don't they? As we all know. So we want to start them off on a good steady kind of step, rather than putting them on this kind of
Mm.
up and down
So
to
let's
start the
start
day.
like how we would if we waking up in the morning. So I'm going to think on like an ideal day,
Yeah,
being two very little children.
yeah,
Say like my day started at 6:30 in the morning. I
yeah.
personally, I mean, I will admit I do have a coffee first thing normally, but I am trying to implement a liter of water first thing, just to
Nice.
think it's a good thing to do. But in terms of then how best way to start them from a child perspective, first of all, going to maybe what you say is the ideal start for your child first thing.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, so I've got a 5-year-old as well. And so for his breakfast, we just need to think about swapping out anything that's potentially sugary.
Mm.
And that can even include, it's not just cereals, it's things like, porridge. So we're talking about carbs that are just going to release sugar. Toast, especially if we're putting like spreads on as well. So we want to be thinking savory. So we need kind of things like eggs and veg first. So like carrot sticks, cucumbers, whatever your child will kind of eat. I know little children, it can be really difficult for them to eat anything like that. But if they eat, yeah, any sort of eggs, any sort of veg, and then you can kind of give them some toast and fruit afterwards, because even though, you know, toast and fruit is fine, we still want to create that barrier in their stomachs before those sugars go in to stop this glucose spike, which will then impact their behavior for the rest of the day. So it's really important we're getting something savory and nutritious in their bloodstream before anything else. So that's a really good switch, I think, that people can make.
That is a really good valid point, because like Harrison for me, and I keep going, I'm gonna get him tested for ADHD, I'm gonna get him tested for ADHD because he's so full on for me. But you know what? And I'll put my hand up to this. I give him porridge in the morning and it's like ready
Yeah.
break. And now, do you know what? That's obviously just being lazy. But I've got eggs and stuff in the fridge,
Sure.
peppers, I've got cucumber. I'm gonna try that tomorrow morning. I'm gonna give that a
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
And you'll notice a difference 100%. And I think this is, you know, because we've been marketed Ready Brek to give our children as a nutritious diet. So it's not surprising that people, you know, of course, we think that that's the right thing to do. But actually, you know, with porridge, it is carbohydrates and it is sugars, especially if it's something that's prepackaged. So you can still, if you still want to give them that, that's fine. But if you know, just try a couple of carrots or cucumber sticks or eggs first, and that's just going to keep those blood sugar levels much lower than it would if you were giving that straight off the bat, because they're just going to be hangry within an hour. They're going to have a, you know, it's going to be
No, it's
tantrums.
so true, because I think about it, Harrison, I mean, the tantrums this morning, wow. But oh, it was like, take spawn of Satan to nursery, see you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Bless him. But like when I think about it, like yesterday morning he had that, and literally 45 minutes later was, I want toast, I want this, I'm hungry,
Yeah.
I'm hungry. So that makes
Yeah.
total sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. And like the thing is, they say from an adult point of view, is I always say to my girls, have source of protein first thing in the morning, because that is a great way to start your day. So for
Yeah.
yourself, what would you say that you like to do when you have breakfast in the morning for yourself?
Yeah, so I generally, so it depends if I'm, because I work in an office, or if some days if I'm at home. So it depends on what I eat, you know, what you can take. I do try and fast in the morning, so it's really good to make sure that you're having a long period of time where you're kind of not eating, like overnight.
Yeah.
So I kind of probably will eat at breakfast about 10 o'clock. So
Okay.
I've had that time where my digestive system can replenish. So I think that's a really important point to make. So if I'm at home, then I'll have kind of rye bread, not the disgusting sliced really thin rye bread, like an actual loaf, you know, like a freshly made loaf. So any sort of bread that's freshly made from the supermarket is going to be better than your kind of ultra processed bread that doesn't go moldy for weeks and is already sliced in a packet. So anything fresh, you can get fresh bread from supermarkets. And then I'll have eggs, and then I'll just think, right, what else can I add to this to make this more nutritious? So mushrooms, tomatoes, avocado, you know, as much veg as I possibly can.
Wow.
And that will keep me full, you know, for like 4 hours, and I won't need to eat again till lunch. So I won't need to eat and snack, because that's what we don't want to do. And if I'm going to work and I need something quick, I generally just chop up a load of like raw veg, take a pot of hummus and like a pita bread, or chop up some avocado and tomatoes with some salt and lemon, and just take it with me. So you know, it doesn't have to be you standing there making something for ages. I generally don't have time to do
No, I
that.
think none of us.
So I just try and take really simple things: pot of hummus, raw veg, pita bread, you know, chuck some cheese, you know, anything like that. It doesn't have to be you specifically making something.
Yeah.
but that will keep you full.
Oh, that's a really good shout. I'm gonna look into that more. And like, because I have a lot of girls that are either working mums or a
Yeah,
lot of them are still, I still train a lot of cabin crew, and they're
yeah,
all going. Something like that would be really, really good for them because then they can take that. So say like they got a 6 a.m. start for work, they've got that for them
yeah,
later when they're ready to eat. They can just open up their Tupperware and off they go. If you're in the office, there it is. That
yeah.
thing.
100%. And nuts as well. So, you know, just get nuts are amazing. So yeah, just anything like that. It doesn't have to be, you can make, because I think also when you're taking stuff, it's hard, isn't it? If you know, if you need to warm stuff up, or if you're thinking, oh, well, I can't really take eggs because I don't like them cold. And so, yeah, just taking stuff that's already cold,
Yeah.
like nuts, like veg and fruit, and, you know, they're really simple stuff that you don't have to make.
Yeah, that's a really good shout. I'm going to definitely pass that on with everyone else because I think they would then kind of go, oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
You've actually made me wake up and think a bit more tonight, which is really good. And then let's go into like lunchtime. Sort of, I'm always a big fan of making sure you get, I like to try and get 40 to 50 grams of protein in my lunches
Yeah,
if possible. So
yeah,
one there. So okay, if you're at home, what would you? I mean, I
yeah.
love omelets personally. So,
Omelets are great. Yeah. Yeah, they're perfect. They're so quick, aren't they? You can chuck loads of veg in,
mm,
cheese, yeah, eggs, they're amazing. What I personally do, because I do work in office and like you, I'm strapped for time. I don't want to consistently be making meals.
mm,
So in the evening, what I tend to do is I will just make extra of my dinner. So if I'm, or for example, if I make like a curry sauce, which I'll obviously make from scratch, I'll divide it up into like 5 different pots, chuck them in the fridge. And
mm,
then in the morning, I'll take it out and I'll just chuck in a can of kidney beans and cook up some mushrooms and then take that into work with me and eat that for lunch.
that's good.
And it's really yummy. And you've got something really quick
Mhm,
and really tasty and really nutritious, like
mhm.
within seconds. So
Very
sometimes
vibrant.
I'll have, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, as I say, there's lots of fiber in there as well, with sounds of things, which is nice. So that's pretty.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good way to get all your kind of legumes in. You know, if you're not I kind of, I like them, they have to be in a sauce for
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I agree with that part. I'm a bit like,
You know, with a bit of cheese on top. But yeah, they're really quick and simple lunch. So that's what I do. I either kind of batch cook like a curry sauce with like fresh tomatoes and coconut milk and divide it up, or I'll make like a tomato sauce. And then I just change it up every day. So if I have chicken the night before, I'll cook a bit of extra chicken, which I'll then put into the sauce for my lunch the next day.
Mm.
And the same with, you know, fish or prawns. I'll just cook a little bit extra. And then I've always got this nutritious lunch ready and I haven't had to make anything extra. So
This
that's what I always do.
this is the thing, like people always think when it comes to meal prepping and stuff, it's got to be like you spend hours in the kitchen on a Sunday doing. You really
Yeah,
don't. If it could be
no,
you're just
not
doing
at all.
the leftovers and stuff, it's just going to save you time, and it's just about ease of access and things like that, isn't it? And
Yeah, it's so easy. Once you get your mindset into every time when you're cooking dinner, just cook a bit extra, just cook a bit extra. And once you do it, it becomes really simple. And like if you're cooking, like, yeah, if you're going to cook like a curry or a spaghetti bolognese sauce or something anyway, you
mm,
know, just divide that up and then you just bulk it out with all your kidney beans and chickpeas and
mm.
veg and stuff in the morning, and then you've got like 5 lunches. So it's a really great, simple, nutritious way that is so time saving as well.
It does sound banging. I definitely like you. I've got a few ideas of what I want to cook up this week. I've bought so many cookbooks recently. I need to start going through them all and then do the things with the leftovers and stuff like that because honestly, it does
Yeah.
make such a difference and it saves you a lot
Yeah.
of money as well.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, you're getting so many meals out of, you know, one thing. So yeah, and especially if you're if you're swapping, instead of constantly cooking and buying meat. Meat's so expensive now. You know, the beans like chickpeas and kidney beans and butter beans, they're so cheap. You know, they are so cheap and they're so nutritious and they're full of fiber. So, you know, you can actually cut down your shopping bill as well as like saving time. So it's win-win situation.
Absolutely. And like, what was it? I shared, it was like a couple of weeks ago. I just shared what my weekly shop was, and I went to Tesco.
Mhm.
It was only like for the four of us, technically. I mean, yeah, okay, I've got two small humans. Came to
Yeah.
75 quid, and I was like, that's really good for a weekly shop. I feel like I think
Yeah.
that's cheap in my
Yeah, really cheap. Yeah.
and I
I
got a
think
lot,
so.
and it felt as that we felt really good from it. But yeah, so
Mhm.
mid-afternoon snack, this is where everyone starts to struggle. So this is why I'm always
It
like,
is.
how much water have you drunk first of all? Like we'll go
Yeah.
into that in a minute, but like I then say, is there like when it comes to mid-afternoon snack, I'm a fan of having like either a piece of fruit or something like that and full
Yeah.
of protein. Now what would you do? Is it like nuts or something? What would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I'd always start off before kind of like eating any sort of sugar, whether that's within carbs or fruit. Definitely trying to, yeah, get something else in there before you do that. So yeah, so eating, you know, a handful of nuts and like a handful of blueberries if you need a snack. But actually, what is better to do is if you want that, is to kind of eat that after your lunch. So your lunch should be so kind of nutritiously dense that you actually shouldn't need to snack. You can have that fruit and those nuts, try and eat them like with your lunch just after you finish it. But you should be able to go, and that's the whole point, because you're not having these really fast releasing sugar carbs. You're having a balanced meal that you should get to dinner time and be hungry, but you shouldn't need to snack. But if you do need to, then of course fruit, veg sticks, you know, hummus, nuts, all those kind of things are great, because, and especially as women, I think some weeks we need more food than others, depending on our cycle or whether our children have slept, or, you know, so some weeks we just do need more food.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I think it's really important that we need to give our bodies a recovery. You
Mm.
know, we need to be, well, I think we kind of come from this culture, don't we, where we were kind of told that, you know, eat little and often, and snacking is actually better, but it's not. We're not giving our digestive system time to recover, which is really important. So
Okay.
trying to make sure that you're going kind of 4 hours between meals or more is important, to give you that time, and the time you eat in the evening as well. You know, we want to give your body a really good recovery overnight, so kind of not eating after 7. So if you do, you know, if you're having your dinner and you're like, well, I really love like to have a biscuit or some chocolate or whatever, just have it straight after your meal,
Okay.
rather than leaving it a few hours and
I'm going
having
to
it.
tell my husband that because he's always going, oh, we've just finished our dinner and you want to have dessert already. And I'm like, yes, I do. Now I
Yes.
can argue that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's much better for you because your body's already, you know, your stomach hasn't emptied. So if you had your dessert a couple of hours later, you're going to cause yourself another blood sugar spike, which is what you don't want. It's going to affect your sleep.
Mhm.
It's starting your digestive system up again when it actually just needs to relax, because you're about to go to bed. It doesn't want to keep working. It's tired. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you have a dessert, have it straight after your dinner.
Noted. Right. That's good to know. That made me a very happy lady. But like, so let's talk about dinner then, shall we? Now, again,
Yeah.
protein source, and I'm all about
Yeah.
volume. I like to have, how do I describe that size in on a podcast? Like two fistfuls, would you say, of veg? Is that
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Something like, sorry, it's just me trying to visualize. And then like the size of my hand, a protein source I like to think of, or something like
Yeah.
that. Well, I personally, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong here, I personally don't like to eat really any carbohydrates if I can help it in the evening, apart from vegetables. So
Okay, amazing. No, well, that's great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like you said, just having, the mostly veg, mostly protein, and then if you do have some carbs, eating those after you eat the protein and the veg, so that you're creating that barrier again, because we want to stop those blood glucose spikes. Um, yeah, but also I think like thinking about, because I kind of have always grown up with you have carbs in your main meal, so it's quite
yeah.
a lot of people do, don't they? It's very hard to kind of change that culture, but I think what I've shifted to doing is kind of switching up my carbs to kind of like giant couscous or like bulgur wheat, or because you still feel like you're getting that kind of carb mouthful, or swapping like white potatoes for sweet potatoes and things like that.
Mhm.
So just making those swaps occasionally in the week, so instead of having pasta,
Mm.
white rice, making a few of those swaps can make a massive difference, because pasta and white rice and potatoes, they are just sugar,
Yeah.
especially white rice and pasta. They've just been stripped of all nutrients. So if you can, if you're going to make your spaghetti bolognese and have it with giant couscous, it's still delicious, and cheese, just making a couple of swaps like that. You don't have to do that every night, but making a few swaps would make, a big difference to whether you're going to wake up or well, through the night, or whether in the morning you're going to wake up and feel extremely tired. It's all going to be to do with what you've eaten the night before.
Mm.
So it's really important we're not eating those carbs straight away, getting all that sugar into our bloodstream straight away. We're putting some blocks in there.
That's good to know. So, like, here's a question then. Like, when insulin spikes, is that
Yeah,
what affects the hunger hormone ghrelin? Is that what then they link
that's
together?
right.
Mm.
Yeah, as soon as it drops, yeah, we start getting hungry again.
Yeah.
So it's just this we're just going through, and it's the same with our children, if we're constantly they're constantly going through these waves of
Mm.
hunger and all day, and we know that being hungry, especially with young children, makes them angry, doesn't it?
Oh
And
yeah,
it makes me
hungry.
hungry when I'm hungry too. So
Me too. The hangry feels, hangry feels.
hungry.
So
Yeah.
a lot of mums, and this will probably be my last question to ask you, bless you.
Mhm.
It's like when it comes to all my mums that I train always say, how do I cook a meal for the family? How do I do this?
Yeah.
Stay on
Yeah.
target. And I always say, you just, if you can, sit down, have a meal together,
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
protein and the veggies in there. But like where you said things like the pasta and stuff like that, and switching it for the giant couscous and stuff instead,
Yeah.
kids can have that. So why
Yeah.
not doing
100%.
it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. And I
it's,
think getting, kids just are fussy. They just are. They realize that there's cake in the world and they don't want to eat their vegetables, But I think I try as much as possible when he wants to get him to join in the cooking.
mm,
Um, so because it makes a massive difference. When he helps me cook and he's made it, then he is so much more likely to eat his dinner without moaning,
mm,
because he's proud of what he's done and he knows what's gone into it and he's interested in it. So I think that's a massive thing. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? Sometimes they don't want to. So, but I think just where they can,
mm.
trying to get your child involved in even a small amount of cooking, can really make a big difference to whether they actually eat it or not.
That's such a good idea, really good point. And I definitely need to make more of a conscious effort with it. Probably because I got scarred not long ago. So basically, this is going to be a funny story. So I went to go and put my youngest Zach up for a nap, and then I was like, it's quiet downstairs. This is good. So I go in the kitchen, and Harry's hit the one of the chairs over to the kitchen side. He's climbed up, he's grabbed all our satsumas, and he stuffed it down my toaster, turned the toaster on. Oh, and there's some metal cars in there as well.
Oh my
Turned it on
God.
and put it on level 6. And I
Oh
think,
my God.
yeah, I was like, do I want to teach you to cook?
Yeah.
But I will. I'm gonna just, do you know what? Let's
Just give
learn.
him the safe bits on the kitchen table, just some, you know, some really, really easy bits to do,
Yes.
not near any toasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like those cooking utensils and stuff for kids, can't
Yeah, I
you?
just bought some for Ted. They're amazing. He loves them.
Oh,
Like
cool.
he loves them. It really encourages him to help me because he wants to use them, and they're great. They're you know they can't chop their finger off, which is the main thing. So yeah, they're really good. He loves using them, and it encourages him then to help me because I'm like, oh, you can come and use your knives and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely yeah, getting them involved, I think,
And
is
then also, from a older kids perspective, because obviously you do a lot of like safeguarding and helping a lot of much older
Mm.
kids.
Yeah.
So, like when it comes to encouraging them with food, because
Yeah.
I get a lot of mums who struggle that their kids, their teens are fussy.
Yes, so fussy. And I think that's where, this is what I'm trying to do is that I think unless we educate people and teenagers, unless we let them know what's going on and how it's going to affect them and how it's going to affect their skin and their moods and their periods, and unless we teach them that, then they're just going to be like, well, you're just telling me to do something and I'm a teenager, I want to do the opposite.
Yeah.
So, unless we kind of educate them on those things, I think it's really difficult to just say, well, you shouldn't be eating this, you should be eating this, because people need a why. They need, why am I going to do this? So I
Yeah.
think it's talking to them about, right, well, how do you feel? How do you sleep? Do you know that, that this, eating this is going to make you, feel more depressed?
Mhm.
And if you eat this, this is going to help you, or this is going to make you sleep. And
Mm.
then it's giving them the options, isn't it? Because, people don't like being told what to do. But if you give them, if you give them the information, and then it's up to them, to make those options. But also I think trying to get them involved, isn't it? Trying to get them involved in cooking and giving them that responsibility over
Yeah.
joining in the meals. But it's hard with teenagers. I I know it is. I speak to them every day, but it wasn't actually as hard as I thought when I started, because the more teenagers that I've spoke to, the more have wanted to implement change. And
Mhm.
so actually it might just be, saying, oh, have you seen this video? Because teenagers don't like to listen to their parents. But oh, have you seen this video? Maybe you should, do you want to have a look? And then they can take the information and it
Yeah.
will go in,
Yeah.
and then they like to feel like, of course, that they're in charge of their own decisions. So I think it's really important that we empower them to do that.
It's a really good way of doing that because it sounds random thing to say, but so teens are on Instagram, TikTok definitely.
Yeah.
The algorithm starts them seeing things like that. It's more likely to keep coming up on their feed rather than just
Yeah.
it that's out there more than anything. Because
Yeah,
they're at a
exactly.
questionable age. So that's a really good valid point. Like you could like just even if it's just like you share an Instagram account with them or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's a way of doing it as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much rubbish out there, isn't there? I mean, the amount, yeah, it's really hard to know. And I think that's why it's important that they speak to someone that, that they trust and that, knows what they're talking about. So yeah, it's really important. Is trying to put them in, get them to look at people that the parents have kind of sussed out and they know that they're talking about good things, and get them to try and follow them rather than all the misinformation that's out there.
Such a good valid point. I definitely will pass that on, I think, to like quite a few of my clients because I think they do struggle a lot with it. So that's a
Yeah,
good one. So yeah, it's something that we need to know. I mean, I think back like what I was doing in my teens and in my 20s, even my early 30s, like my God, the food and drink I was having was
yeah.
just and then like I was speaking to someone last week and they were asking me, what's your favorite Monster energy drink flavor? And I was like, none,
None.
none,
None.
none of them. And just
Yeah.
Like it baffles me actually. And
Yeah.
now sometimes when I get like check-ins, and I see sometimes where that you see people, particularly those who travel for a living, and they'll have something like a couple of McDonald's a week, a pizza, and so
Yeah.
I kind of go, and I have to turn around and say, your body's in chaos right now.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
struggling. Like you
Yeah.
don't realize it, but you are.
Yeah, your body is just, yeah, like you said, an absolute, an absolute state.
Mm,
And there's not one, there's no one that can eat like that
mm,
and be okay. We just can't. We really need to realize, that we're having huge impacts on our mental health and our physical health. But also, it's not too late. It's never too late to turn it around. And just making really little steps is key, I think, to start with. Just take in more good food, and then the bad stuff will start to filter out.
absolutely.
But yeah. Yeah.
Agreed. Well, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to Lauren, and thank you very, very much
Thank
for
you.
where can everyone find you if they want to find out a bit more about you?
Yeah. So I'm on Facebook under Lauren Morley, and on my Instagram is lmorley30. So yeah, I'm always posting lots of videos. It's all based on science. So it's all just about being healthy and yeah, getting the information out there.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much, Lauren, and
Thank you.
I will speak to y'all soon.
Bye.